I'd like to send good wishes to team owner Ron Dennis's father, who has recently had a heart attack, but apparently is now recovering, so I hope we can show him something to cheer him up this afternoon. And of course also to Frank Williams, who we send our best wishes to as well. And of course he is recovering now in hospital, and let's hope that his team can cheer him up a bit with some sparkling performances today.
So Patrese sixth on the grid. There's Lafitte. Patrick Torbay well up in the new Ford-powered car, and Martin Brundle is in 10th position on the grid. He was well down this morning in the final half hour of practice, and Jonathan Palmer, by the way, is in 19th place. Unfortunately, Johnny Dumfries failed to qualify yesterday. He had a major problem with the gearbox of the car, and he was cheated of a start in this Monaco Grand Prix by just a fraction of a second. And his teammate Ayrton Senna is going to be carrying the hopes of the Lotus team in this race. So now coming up to the final lap around this circuit, 2.07 miles long. It's a 78 lap, very long race, which is going to last the thick end of 2 hours. The lap record held by Michele Alboreto, 1 minute 22.6. And in pole position this year, Alain Prost went round at about the same speed, there he is on the left, as the lap record yesterday, last year. And that means to say then that the times for the laps today are going to be about 2 seconds slower than last year because of the new chicane.
Well, somebody's stopped there. It looks to me like one of the Brabhams, I think, or possibly a Ligier, difficult to identify, but the rest of them have got away all right as they go up the hill towards the Casino Square. It's just as they go out of shot, here we are, starting to turn left, round the Hotel de Paris, holding the car in tight as they come round here, and then to turn right through Casino Square. As they come out of Casino Square with the car still turning over the hump, there it is. There goes the Brabham. And the car goes very light there, get a bit of wheel spin. And Patrick Torbay apparently has had to go in the spare car, got an oil leak in his race car. Round now the station hairpin, the old station hairpin, tightest corner on the course, first gear of course. And really, if you haven't got too much lock on your car, you have to really make sure you get it right, otherwise you can't make it in one. Almost three-point turn stuff. And they go down, turn right, and right again, and onto the seafront. And into the tunnel. And believe me, these turbocharged cars, I was watching this morning the warm-up in the tunnel, and they are quite spectacular through the right-hand corner, with vibrant power. The whole tunnel shakes as they come through. There we are, going into the corner, through the corner of the tunnel, and then out again along the seafront and down to the new corner. The old chicane has gone on the grounds of safety, and they've now, as Murray said earlier, replaced it with a first gear corner that you see in the background. They have to virtually do an S-bend rather than the old wiggle for the chicane, and there it is. Back of the field coming through, and you can now hear the cars as they come poodling past our commentary box, with poleman Prost slowing it down to bunch the field up so that he doesn't have to sit too long with everything getting hotter, and waiting on the grid, because the red light doesn't come on, of course, until everybody is stopped and in position.
And of course, the major problem always at the Monaco Grand Prix is the first corner on the first lap. The right-hander in second gear at Saint-Devote, which leads up to the long, sinuous hill, which leads to the Hotel de Paris, and the left-hander at Massenet. So many times in the past, there has been a gigantic coming together, and several cars have been taken out. It's the critical corner. It's what could decide the race just a few seconds after it has started. Let us hope that there isn't any sort of a coming together this time. Nigel Mansell just behind Prost, who's on the left of your screen. Immediately behind Prost's car, you can see, is the yellow helmet of Ayrton Senna. And it's 78 laps to go. And it's go. Good start by Prost. Senna going through on the inside, now into Saint-Devote. Watch the back of your picture to see that they all get through safely. They're okay so far. It looks as though we're not going to have a repeat of the last years, thank heavens. And it's Prost leading. Senna is in second position. Mansell is in third place. Alboreto is in fourth place. and they stream round Massenet into the Casino Square. Now they're dropping down the hill, and that was a good start.
Yes, and Rosberg just having an attack down the inside. He was making up places, didn't qualify too well, but it was a good clean start. The sunny weather seems to put everybody in a good mood, because we even, amazing enough, had the entire Formula 3 field get through the first corner without incident yesterday. So that's 2 out of 2.
Into the tunnel, now down to the chicane for the first time in anger. Many times in practice, this is first gear. They approach it out of the tunnel at some 170 miles an hour, and it's Senna second, Mansell third, Alboreto fourth, Rosberg fifth, Berger sixth, and Patrese in 7th place. So already, Ayrton Senna has made up a place in the race from his 3rd position on the grid. We wait for them now to come out of the swimming pool turn, which they're doing now, and it's Prost, Senna, Mansell 3rd, Alboreto 4th, Rosberg 5th, Berger 6th, Patrese 7th, and Martin Brundle is in 8th position.
And Senna looks like a man in a hurry at the moment. He's pressing Prost a bit, and Prost's tactics for the race were to take it fairly easy, to try and protect his tires. Now with Senna behind him, we'll have to see whether he's going to switch the tactics, and Rosberg moving well up through the field as well.
Yeah, and Rosberg's got a big problem, because Michele Alboreto's Ferrari handles badly, and already Teo Fabi in the Benetton, there he is in trouble coming into the pits, I think, at the end of the first lap, with his engine sounding very rough indeed, as Alain Prost leading on lap 2, round the station hairpin. There is Senna, Mansell 3rd, Alboreto 4th. Alboreto definitely holding up Rosberg. And Keke Rosberg will be straining now in the McLaren to get past the wayward Ferrari, with which Michele Alboreto is most unhappy. He took his courage in both hands in practice yesterday and got 4th place, whereas his teammate Stefan Johansson was well down the grid in 15th place. Mansell in 3rd position, and you can see there's the Scarlet Ferrari, still 4th as they approach the swimming pool. It's Prost. Senna 2nd, Mansell, Alboreto, Rosberg.
Yeah, and Prost is obviously not giving it too conservative an approach. He's starting to stretch that lead a little bit, and the McLaren certainly was very, very good in race condition this morning, as we've come to expect. So Senna, having pressed him round the first lap, now looks as if he's going to have to work to hold on.
And I remind you, in case you didn't hear it, that Martin Brundle, who started 10th on the grid, is already up into 8th position. 9th behind him, Patrick Tambay, 10th, Nelson Piquet, Mansell's teammate, and Mansell 3rd. There he is, coming out of Casino Square, dropping down in 4th gear, now to 2nd, to the Mirabeau turn, now down to 1st gear to Lowe's hairpin, about 30 miles an hour. Mansell closing up a little on Senna, who is 2nd, Alboreto and Rosberg together, then Berger in the Benetton BMW in 6th position, the only man who scored points in all 3 of this year's World Championship races. And they're doing 170 miles an hour as they exit the gloom of the tunnel into the bright sunshine. Brakes hard on. Prost, Senna, Mansell, Alboreto, Rosberg. Now down to the Tabac. And you see Berger in the background in the green Benetton with its very distinctive livery. And the gap now, I'll give you the gap as Prost comes through in the lead. He is leading Ayrton Senna by over 2 seconds. And behind Berger is Riccardo Patrese, who is 7th, Martin Brundle 8th, Tambay 9th, Piquet 10th, Boutsen 11th, and look at that! There you see Alan Jones out of the race, and in the background... Well, Alan Jones being pushed the wrong way of the course, and already the Australian looks as though his race is finished. They're trying to get him clear.
Yeah, and that's the back corner. Looks like there was a coming together there. And so Jones, who the Beatrice team have been much more competitive here in practice. We see the leaders going round the station hairpin, and so that'll be a big disappointment for Alan Jones. Both he and Patrick Tombe had a good day each in qualifying. Jones was 6th quickest on the first day, had trouble with the car the next, and Tombe took over and was doing very well. So, Alain Prost stretching his lead now and really looking as if only mechanical trouble is going to stop him here. He's looking quite comfortable. The car is very, very good, and he is in absolutely top form after his marvellous performance at Imola 2 weeks ago. He's brimming with confidence.
Alain Streff was the other car. Farby came in with injection problems, incidentally, Theo Farby, and it's Alain's Philippe Streff, the Frenchman, who had the coming together with Alan Jones. Now, looking at the swimming pool, this is the end of lap 4 in this 78-lap race, and you can see that Alain Prost, the man who won for the last 2 years, is in a very commanding position. He's building up a comfortable cushion already. In the background, Senna and Mansell, 2nd and 3rd, as Prost goes round the Hotel de Paris, the matinee turn, out of Casino Square with his left rear wheel almost kissing the barrier, dropping down the hill. So Senna 2nd, Mansell 3rd, Alboreto 4th, Rosberg 5th, Berger 6th, Patrese 7th, Brundle still in 8th position. Mansell closing up on Senna, Rosberg still with Alboreto, and there you saw Berger and Patrese. Ricardo Patrese in the rejuvenated Brabham on its Pirelli tyres is going extremely well.
Yes, and Mansell's looking very strong in 3rd place. He's pressing Senna, looks as if he'd like to find a way around, but of course that is one of the big problem for Monte Carlo. Overtaking when somebody doesn't want to be overtaken is really difficult here. The straights are too short, the track's too narrow, it's too tight, and it's really a big problem. But Mansell, who shone in practice after 1 or 2 dramas, he managed to crash his race car early on yesterday, having not qualified on Thursday, but having had a lot of engine trouble, and then was at one stage on the pole in qualifying, despite having another spin arriving at the chicane. He managed to arrive there backwards at huge speed, but 2nd place on the grid, now challenging Ayrton Senna for 2nd place.
Ayrton Senna leading the World Championship, of course, and Nigel Mansell finished so brilliantly in 2nd place in Spain. There went Rosberg chasing Alboreto hard.
Yes, and I think that the Rosberg-Alboreto is the battle to watch at the moment. Rosberg's pretty impatient, his teammates getting the upper hand on him, and Rosberg, I would think, will be in a pretty aggressive mood.
Now, the gap between Senna, who is 2nd, and Rosberg, that you can just see disappearing round the right-hander there, is about 4 seconds. And as James says, he really needs somehow to get past the Ferrari of Michele Alboreto in 4th position. As Prost comes down to the chicane, now you can see the gap. Senna, Mansell, and as Mansell exits the chicane, Alboreto and Rosberg come up to it. Berger in the background, and now we've got another 2-car battle. Here is Berger, chased by Patrese, and behind Patrese and catching him is Martin Brundle, who is in 8th position. So this is lap 7, the completion of, and it's Prost leading, Senna 2nd, Mansell 3rd, Alboreto 4th, Rosberg 5th, Berger 6th, Patrese 7th, and Martin Brundle in 8th place, catching the Brabham. Jonathan Palmer is still going well. He's in 17th place. Alan Jones out of the race, of course, already. Theo Farby has come into the pits with injection trouble, and Philippe Streff was involved in that crash with Alan Jones. Both of them looking perfectly okay themselves. Senna and Mansell with.
Well, Prost looks very smooth at the minute. There we see the Alboreto-Rosberg battle. Rosberg is really very close to Alboreto, but as usual, still really not looking as if he's going to find anywhere past. But Prost, of course, will be out there looking after his tyres. He's chosen a slightly softer compound setup than Ayrton Senna, and no doubt that both of them would really like to go the whole race without a stop. But in order to do it, Prost has got to keep the car nice and smooth, not slide it too much, not get too much wheel spin, just to look after the tyres. But he certainly looks to be doing that at the moment.
And I discern there that Nigel Mansell had dropped back a bit from Senna, and Alboreto and Prost are starting to catch him there. Patrese is looking for a way past Gerhard Berger, and Patrese must be absolutely rejoicing in the improvement with the Brabham. Alboreto and Rosberg, who is, of course, in 5th position. There's Prost, the leader. Now, looking down. Now, look at Senna. He's much further away from Mansell than he was before, and Alboreto is much closer to him. And Alboreto is really starting to press. He's pulling away just a little from Rosberg behind him. He's definitely closing on Nigel Mansell. But as James has just said, Monaco is certainly the hardest course in the world to get past somebody, especially if he doesn't want to be passed. You can only pressure, pressure, pressure all the time and hope that the man in front of you will make a mistake. So the two McLarens, Alain Prost and Keke Rosberg, are in the first 6 places, indeed in the first 5 places. Ayrton Senna in the only Lotus is second. Nigel Mansell third, and is he dropping back, question mark. Then Michele Alboreto in the Ferrari, and his teammate Stefan Johansson is well down in 13th place. Prost. Now, just watch the class of this man, Alain Prost. He's driving smoothly, carefully, balancing the car, conserving his tyres. He's got the boost probably turned back a bit by now, because he's now got a 9-second lead over Ayrton Senna, who is in 2nd place, as Prost comes through to complete his 9th lap in this 78-lap race. And as you see, it is the Ligier of René Arnoux, 1:28.8, who is fastest so far. And that compares with the lap record held by Alboreto on the slightly different circuit last year of 1:22.6. So they're lapping about 6 seconds slower than last year. And look at Rosberg there, chasing Alboreto. There's Mansell going through in 3rd position.
And Arnoux's speed could be something to do with the fact that the Pirelli-tired cars are running a slightly softer compound, we think, because they're certainly planning to make a stop. The Pirellis don't, the users don't reckon they'll go the distance, and so he needs to do a bit of sprinting in the first half of the race.
Into the 160-mile-an-hour tunnel. Out of it. Alboreto in the Scarlet Ferrari. Rosberg, there's Mansell 3rd. Alboreto 4th. Rosberg 5th. They exit the chicane at about 60 miles an hour, down to the Tabac in 3rd gear. They're up to about 130 now as they approach the swimming pool. Back to about 85 miles an hour as they come out of it. Down to the Ratcast, the 1st gear corner. Prost goes through there. There's Alboreto. Rosberg. And this is the completion of lap 10. So it's just over 1/8 distance. Heartening to say that comparatively few cars have gone out, notably Jones and Streb.
And Rosberg is really climbing all over the back of Alboreto's Ferrari, but it's still the usual story. Overtaking here is really difficult, and unless he can persuade Alboreto to make a mistake, he's not going to easily find a way past. Senna goes round the station hairpin, Mansell, Alboreto, and now Rosberg very close to him, but still no way to find an attacking position.
Now Mansell quickest, 1:28.8, just a whisker quicker than René Arnoux, about the same lap speed therefore. And there is the Englishman from the Isle of Man, a master of this Monaco course. Of course, you never know what's going on in the driver's mind while you're standing or sitting here watching them. You don't know how much they're conserving their tyres, how much they're giving themselves a bit of a breather. But between the 1st and 5th places, there is about 14 or 15 seconds. So it's still very close indeed. They have completed 10 laps now. And that's Theo Farby in the Benetton, in the light-coloured helmet, back on the track, having presumably overcome, or hopes he has, his injection problems, moving over and letting Senna through in second place. Now we'll see how Nigel Mansell copes with the little Italian. There is Mansell in the Williams Honda. McLaren leading, Lotus second, Williams third, Ferrari in fourth place. Farby moves over and lets Nigel Mansell through. McLaren in second place, Berger in the Benetton in sixth position.
Yes, good considerate driving by Farby. He realised that the leaders were bearing down on him and he's been making space to let them through. But Rosberg would probably hope that he doesn't do that, because it might just give him the opening he wants. If Farby gets in the way a bit, holds up Alboreto, that could be a good break for Rosberg.
And unseen by you, but very much seen by us as you watch the leader, Alain Prost, coming through shortly to complete another lap, is the fact that Riccardo Patrese, going like smoke in the Brabham, has passed Gerhard Berger, and for the first time this season that I can remember, a Brabham is in the World Championship points. Alboreto there, ahead of Rosberg, and it's still Prost, Senna, Mansell, Alboreto, Rosberg, and then Patrese.
Yes, it is most heartening to see the Brabhams going better, because their relatively futuristic car gave them some problems, funny enough, which were really in the engine more than the chassis. But here the car has looked most impressive in qualifying. The car seems to grip very well, and it seems to be that they're getting grip. But now Rosberg pressing right up Alboreto's exhaust. There's no way to go diving on the inside of Casino Square, but the possible place is after they've turned right here and down to the Mirabeau, if he can get into position. Not close enough.
And quickly, of course, Riccardo Patrese has scored a World Championship point, but there is Senna, Mansell, Alboreto, and chasing him, Rosberg. Cross through. Driving as you would expect as world champion. An absolutely immaculate race. 15 seconds lead the little Frenchman has now. Look back as he comes round the swimming pool. And there's Senna. Mansell, Alboreto, Rosberg, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Down to the Rascasse, first gear. Rosberg looking for a way through. Is the Ferrari, with its, as far as Alboreto is concerned, evil handling characteristics, going to tire the Italian? And is he going to have to let Rosberg through? We'll soon see, because Rosberg is definitely getting closer all the time in fifth position. Riccardo Patrese sixth in a World Championship scoring point situation. Round Massenet again. Out of Casino Square. Down the approach, past the tip-top on the right, the Metropole Hotel, Mirabeau Corner, down to the old station hairpin, now Lowe's hairpin. And as you look back down towards the Metropole, you can see that there's a big gap between Rosberg 5th and Patrese 6th as the Ferrari and the McLaren go into the tunnel.
Tough situation for Keke Rosberg, because driving that close behind another car is a great deal harder work than having, say, a 20-yard gap, because you can't see where you're going properly, or your vision is partially obscured. The wings of the car don't work as well, because you're in the hole, you're following in the hole of the air, in the air made by the car in front. So it is really double hard work doing what Rosberg is doing. He needs to be that close to field up any mistake that Alboreto makes. At the same time, he's expending a lot of unnecessary energy, at least unnecessary if he doesn't get past in the near future.
They've completed 13 laps now, and as Senna goes round the right-hander at Saint-Devant, in front of him, Streff has rejoined the race, had gone off at Saint-Devant and rejoined. Alain Prost leading now by about 7 seconds. And this is the scrap in the race at the present moment. But behind, Stefan Johansson is having a terrific scrap with Jacques Lafitte. And the race order, as you watch them streaming round the hairpin with the Ferrari, there it is, and Rosberg closing up there. Now look at this. This is what I was talking about. There's Johansson with Lafitte trying to take him as they go down to the Rascasse, but Johansson is on the inside line there. Lafitte driving round the outside, an absolutely masterly bit of driving, and in doing that, Jacques Lafitte moves up a place as Prost goes through, lapping Jonathan Palmer, and Senna in second position still, with Mansell third. There he is. Alboreto fourth. You'll see him shortly in the Ferrari, still ahead of Keke Rosberg. Riccardo Patrese is still in sixth position, and it's very heartening to say that comparatively few cars, even now, and we are on lap 15, are out of the Monaco Grand Prix. Bit static at the moment, perhaps, but of course this race is going to really come alive when the tyre situation takes over. We don't know for sure. Mansell, Alboreto, Prost, Rosberg going through. We don't know for sure when. We don't know for sure when they are going to stop, or even if they are going to stop, as Alboreto and Rosberg drop down to the Mirabeau. Fourth and fifth. Let's look at the tyre situation. Michele Alboreto started on 4 C compound Goodyear tyres, fairly soft. Keke Rosberg started on 4 C's, fairly soft. Alain Prost has got 2 C's on the front, and a B on the left rear and a C on the right rear. So Prost has allowed for the fact that there is more wear on the left rear here at Monaco, and has put a slightly harder tyre on his car that may pay big dividends later on. You are watching Alboreto and Rosberg. We haven't seen much of Martin Brundle, but he's still very much there. He is in 8th position, with Rosberg starting to press yet again. Jonathan Palmer has already been lapped, but is in 17th position, and Rosberg's going for it as they come up to Sanderbox. And he's through. Beautiful bit of driving.
Yes, tremendous stuff by Rosberg. That was very brave. Round the outside, but he committed himself, stuck to his gun, and at last he's found a way round. And quite frankly, to overtake here, you've got to be brave in that situation. Here we see it again. Now Rosberg, Alboreto is quite right in reasonably forcing him to go around the outside, the long way round. But Rosberg is not fazed by that, and he just simply outbraves him on when to apply the brakes and squeezes through. Tremendous stuff.
And ironically, that's exactly what Alboreto did last year. He passed to take the lead at that very corner, but then his car was handling very much better, the previous Ferrari, than the one he's in this year. So now, as you look at Jonathan Palmer being caught by Nigel Mansell, who laps the Englishman, with Keke Rosberg, you can see already, is pulling away now in 4th position from Michele Alboreto in 5th place. There is the Italian in the Scarlet Ferrari. Now, is Rosberg starting to catch Nigel Mansell, who is 3rd? We've got the McLarens with Prost and Rosberg now in 1st and 4th places. And we are on lap 17 out of 78. Sanderbox. Rosberg past Palmer. And of course, Mansell and Senna are past Palmer. Prost was some time ago. I'm sorry if you've got picture breakup. We have too. But as you look at the harbour, it's still Alain Prost. We're waiting for him to come into our sight at the swimming pool. Still, the vast majority of them are going on. Still, Jonathan Palmer is in 17th position. There is the race leader. And you'll be able to see for yourselves the gap. It's He's pulling away all the time, driving beautifully. Alain Prost is now 8 seconds ahead of Ayrton Senna. Prost on his way to 9 World Championship points. Senna on his way to 6. Prost leaves La Rascasse, comes through to complete another lap, which is the conclusion of his 17th lap. Still Senna, second. 9 seconds between the two of them.
And Alain Prost really looks very comfortable in his lead. He looks as if he's building it up slowly, gently all the time, just pulling away a little bit. But he does look as if he's being able to nurse the car and look after his tyres as well. Lapping the Brabham there, properly moved out of the way, Prost uninterfered with, and so far we've seen very good behaviour from drivers watching their mirrors as they've been lapped by the leaders. They've done a good job. Jonathan Palmer, we saw, letting everybody run by him, and it's most important that they do that here at Monaco, because they get in the way, they're really difficult to deal with. Now, we just saw at the end of that shot Keke Rosberg, who is starting to catch Nigel Mansell.
Alain Prost lapped Elio De Angelis. You just saw him there lapping the Italian in the Brabham, and De Angelis is in 16th place. So Prost has lapped everybody up to 15th now. Here is Senna, and Nigel Mansell about 2 seconds behind him. There is Rosberg, just about between 3 and 4 seconds behind Mansell. Senna comes out of the swimming pool, and Rosberg is well and truly on his way. We're going to have a battle very shortly between 3 cars for second place. Those 3 being Senna, Mansell and Rosberg. And Alain Prost, if he knew this, would be delighted, because it will give him the opportunity to just keep on driving comparatively gently by his meteoric standards, knowing that those 3, Senna, Mansell and Rosberg, will be metaphorically tripping each other up, trying to get by. Rosberg. Now there is the leader. Here is Senna coming down to the station hairpin. Next is Mansell. And Rosberg has got to get past Arnoux, and he does it. Arnoux must be in trouble because he moved over and let him through. And Arnoux was in 10th position in the Ligier. So there's a question mark over René Arnoux' continued progress. And now on lap 19 out of 78, Mansell, second. Prost ahead of him by some 9 seconds now. Prost is continuing to pull away. There's Rosberg gaining. That's De Angelis, who has been lapped, number 8. Alboreto dropping back all the time in 5th position. And the gap between Alboreto now and his countryman, Patrese in the Brabham, is about 10 seconds, and I wouldn't be at all surprised shortly to see the Ferrari there, which has just lapped De Angelis, being caught by De Angelis' teammate, Riccardo Patrese, and we'll start to see a battle for 5th position. Sit on the edges of your seats. This is lap 20, and from about lap 24 onwards, we could be seeing tyre changes. We could be seeing tyre changes. And I'm rather expecting Keke Rosberg to come in early for a tyre change. Senna goes out of the picture second. Mansell goes round the right hander third. Rosberg goes round it fourth. There's Mansell into the tunnel. The gap between Mansell and Rosberg, about 3 seconds. I'll give it to you exactly when they come past me. The chicane, first gear, 40 miles an hour in, 60 miles an hour out. Senna, second. Mansell in the Williams. Rosberg in the McLaren. Now, let's see what the gap is between Keke Rosberg in 4th position and Nigel Mansell in 3rd place. And the answer, as they approach the Rascasse, is 2.6 seconds. Rosberg is catching Mansell.
Yeah, I just had a good look from our commentary position at Rosberg's tyres. Remember, he's gambled on a softer compound for the rears than most people, using a soft left rear. And I'm happy to report that they look perfectly all right. So Rosberg's tyre choice so far seems to be working.
A lot of pressure on Keke Rosberg. He left the Williams team on a very high note at the end of 1985, having won the last Grand Prix of the year at Adelaide, changed to the McLaren team, and hasn't shone as much as a lot of people expected him to, because he's had to adapt to the new car, the handling characteristics of which are very different to the Williams. Keke Rosberg likes oversteer, Elio De Angelis in the pits, and with the McLaren, Rosberg has a lot of understeer. So there is number 8, Elio De Angelis, in 16th position, having been lapped in the pits. Herbie Blash leaning over and talking to him. And in the background, Theo Fabi has come into the pits. So we are now going to see a flood of people pouring into the pits. There goes the McLaren through to complete another lap, and Alain Prost is now on his 22nd lap in the 78th lap race. He's 10 seconds ahead of Ayrton Senna, second, who has got Nigel Mansell about 2 seconds behind him in third place. Fourth is Keke Rosberg, about 2 seconds behind Mansell. Fifth is Alboreto, who is now 12 seconds ahead of Patrese.
And Prost is looking wonderfully smooth. If it's possible to nurse these tyres round to the length of the race, he's going about it the right way. There we go, fastest lap for Nigel Mansell as the race is beginning to hot up speed-wise. The fuel load is lightening, and the car's getting quicker. More rubber on the track. They'll get quicker and quicker as the race goes on. But Prost is really looking pretty serene and confident out front and doing it all very smoothly.
Yes, Alain Prost, who failed to finish in Brazil, but was third in Spain and then won San Marino. Now look back. Mansell is behind Senna. Now let's hope that we can have a look at what is happening as Ayrton Senna goes through in second position as far as Nigel Mansell is concerned. Well, there is Mansell, and the gap now between Nigel Mansell and Rosberg is 2 seconds. It was 2.6 seconds on the previous lap. There's the Williams, there's the McLaren in fourth place. There is Senna, who is second, going up to Sanderbot. Enthralling stuff, this, way out in front. Alain Prost driving as usual, an immaculate race, but a raging battle for second, third and fourth. Now, fifth is still Alboreto, sixth is still Patrese, seventh is Gerhard Berger, eighth is still Martin Brundle holding on there, ninth is René Arnoux, 10th is Patrick Tambay, 11th is Nelson Piquet, 12th is Jacques Lafitte. As you can see, Keke Rosberg is now the fastest man on the course, 1 minute 27.4, which is 0.2 of a second faster than Nigel Mansell's previous fastest lap, and that is still about 4 or 5 seconds off last year's pace. And Senna is being caught by Mansell, who is being caught by Rosberg. It is all starting to happen.
Yep. The battle for second place is now concertinaing up as we expected it would, and is about to get enjoyed in earnest.
Mansell, he sees Senna in front of him. And Rosberg sees Mansell in front of him. This is very, very close to 10/10 motoring at Monaco. Up the hill, and they go up the hill, believe it or not, at some 165 miles an hour in top gear as they approach. And there is René Arnoux being caught by Martin Brundle. Behind in the red Ford-powered car is Patrick Tambay. And behind. There is Lafitte going through.
Yeah, the Nelson Piquet we look at now in the Williams, second to last of that battle, had a bit of trouble in qualifying, didn't get clear laps, and he's having a look on the inside of Tambay, but Tambay says, no you don't, and shuts the door on him. So Piquet suffering from the old problem at Monte Carlo that once you don't qualify well, you're in real trouble, you cannot overtake. He's undoubtedly being held back in that bunch, and it really is difficult to get out of the rut.
Nelson Piquet in 11th position. Ahead of him, Patrick Tambay, and ahead of him, Martin Brundle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 cars coming down to the tunnel. And Alain Prost is now leading Senna by 9 seconds, so his lead has come down a little. I don't think there's anything to worry about from Prost's point of view. As now, watch Martin Brundle exiting the tunnel in 8th position, down to the chicane. There he is. Behind him, Tambay in the red car, 9th. Arnoux has been caught and lapped.
There's a good shot there. It's the second time we've seen it as they go up to the back of large lumps of rubber being thrown up by the car's big sticky tires. Of course, the rubber actually rolls off the tires. It's very soft, so it comes up into lumps, and then they pick it up and throw it as they go over it.
When you think that these cars have got some 850 horsepower in race trim, 6-speed gearboxes, these big sticky tires, and there's one of the Benettons coming into the pit. I suspect it will be Theo Fabi as Jonathan Palmer stress. There's Piquet up the hill, coming towards us is Arnoux. There's Palmer, there was Piquet. And there's a mixture of laps going here amongst these cars. The leader is now on his 26th lap, Alain Prost, and it's fast and furious down to Mirabeau and the station hairpin. Watch amongst this lot for Brundle. There's Brundle. He's got Piquet right behind him now. And Patrick Tambay is through out of the tunnel with that Ford engine going beautifully reliably. Alan Jones, of course, went out early in the race when he came together with Philippe Streff, who is back in the race. There's Martin Brundle. Palmer has been lapped. There's Tambay. And bringing up the rear is Jacques Lafitte, who is in 11th place. So Lafitte is 11th, ahead of him Piquet 10th. Tambay 9th, and Martin Brundle in the white car that you're looking at now in 8th position. Well, somebody has got to give way in this lot.
Yes, although they've in fact been in this formation for some considerable time, quite a while before we got the cameras on them. The battle was raging, and they're obviously in some sort of a stalemate situation. As you rightly say, Murray, it's got to break sometime, but it's proving quite a difficult one to crack. The feet climbing all over the back of them. Piquet's stuck. He wants to go faster, and it's a bit of a queue. And there's Brundle.
Jacques Lafitte, the oldest man in the race. Now, there is Rosberg. Coming up the hill to the Hotel de Paris now. Still Alain Prost well in the lead. Ayrton Senna in second position. There's one of the Brabhams running wide. And I'm looking for Nigel Mansell as I talk to you. Now, there's little doubt in my mind that Keke Rosberg, unseen by our cameras, has moved up ahead of Nigel Mansell. And he is. Keke Rosberg is in third position. So the McLarens are first and third. We're going to check soon visually. This is lap 27. That is the race leader, Alain Prost. and he's coming past us very shortly. The gap, Alain Prost is leading now by some 9 seconds as he goes down to La Rascasse. There is Ayrton Senna in second position, and Keke Rosberg is charging very hard indeed. Start the stopwatch on Ayrton Senna. Rosberg is now 2.7 seconds behind Senna. There, number 12. Mansell is down to fourth position. And now watch as Senna comes through second. Rosberg there, third. 2.7 seconds. I said earlier on that Rosberg was still feeling his way in the McLaren team. My goodness, he's felt it well in this race. He's come right up from his low position on the grid of 9th. He's now third. He's passed Nigel Mansell, and he's got ahead of him Ayrton Senna.
Yeah, unfortunately we missed Rosberg with the cameras on the battle raging lower down. We missed the overtaking, but Rosberg is really certainly charged. He's driving a very good aggressive race. He needs a good race under his belt because his confidence, I feel, is a little bit undermined by Prost's serene control of the McLaren number 1 slot at the moment. Rosberg is not used to being beaten, but one good race will put his confidence right back, and he's certainly having a good one. To have got up from 9th on the grid to 3rd place this soon in the Monte Carlo Grand Prix is really excellent driving.
And this is Rosberg's chance, because now Senna has got Thierry Boutsen ahead of him, and he can't get past here. Rosberg has got a comparatively clear track, and I prophesy that Rosberg is going to be right on Senna's tail very shortly. And he is. Now, is Boutsen going to let Senna through? If he doesn't, we're going to have a nose-to-tail situation, and he hasn't, between Senna and Rosberg.
Yes, that's the first bit of bad driving we've seen for a back marker. Well, Tell has finally spotted it and let him go, but he certainly delayed Ayrton Senna a bit then.
Nigel Mansell in the pits. First tyre change we've seen, apart from Elio De Angelis' delayed one. So now, with Rosberg past Boutsen in 3rd place, and he's caught a bit on Ayrton Senna. The gap was 2 seconds, and it's now down to 1.7 seconds, according to my hand timing. And Rosberg, I remind you, who is on 4 comparatively soft tyres. Nigel Mansell came in with 2 hard tyres, or harder tyres, on the rear wheels of his Williams, and he's warm nose. But Keke Rosberg must be treating his tyres comparatively lightly, because he has gone on further already than Nigel Mansell has, and he's set his sights on Ayrton Senna. Prost is leading, Senna second, Rosberg third. Mansell has dropped down a place now because Alboreto will have moved up. 37-year-old Keke Rosberg, ex-world champion, has won here, of course, at Monaco. He won in the Williams in 1983, a superb victory. And we're seeing a lot of reliability at the front. Prost.
Yes, it's most heartening that technology with Grand Prix cars does seem to be overtaking the ever-improving speed of the cars, and that they seem to be getting more reliable. And there was a mistake there from Senna. He ran wide round the Mirabeau. Now, let's see if he's got trouble with his car, or if that was just a mistake, but that's put Rosberg right up his exhaust pipe.
Nigel Mansell, incidentally, only lost 1 place. He went down to 5th position and let Alboreto through. He's only lost 1 place as a result of that tyre stop. A lot of gossip about Ayrton Senna here. He stated at Monaco that he signed an option with another team already for 1987, and Mr. Agnelli, the head man of Fiat, was here expressing his admiration for Senna. Some people are putting 2 and 2 together and assuming that Senna may be driving for Ferrari next year. Others are saying Brabham, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, his problem at the moment is not what he drives next year. It's keeping Keke Rosberg behind him, and look at them. Coming up to complete the 30th lap. 4 laps off half distance.
Remember, of course, that Rosberg has gone for a more aggressive tyre combination. He's got slightly softer rears, which in theory should give him more grip at the back than Senna has got, but of course he faces a bigger wear problem. So what he will really want to do is to get past Senna as soon as possible, to use the advantage of the tyres and not waste them sliding around in his drafts behind him.
Behind these two, Alboreto now 4th, Mansell down to 5th after his pit stop. Patrese is still 6th. Berger is in 7th place. René Arnoux is 8th. Martin Brundle now is in 9th position. Patrick Tambay is 10th. Nelson Piquet is 11th. In 12th position it is Jacques Lafitte. 13th is Stefan Johansson. 14th is Boutsen, who has been lapped. So Prost has lapped everybody up to 13th place.
Yes, and this battle, whether it's this battle or whether it's tyre deterioration, but since Rosberg has pretty much joined Senna, Prost has been able to extend that lead a bit more. He's now up to over 14 seconds lead and really is looking in the most comfortable situation. Rosberg into the pits. There goes Rosberg. So Rosberg has gone for tyres already.
Now let's take the time. Keke Rosberg literally right behind me. A very, very quick stop is about 8.8 seconds. Out goes Keke Rosberg, 13.2 seconds. Not a particularly quick stop. That's taken the pressure off Senna a bit, but now we can expect Rosberg to go through to the end, but not necessarily. I was told that there was a possibility that Rosberg might actually make 2 stops for tyres in this race, but we don't know. We don't know what tyres they put on his car as a result of the experience that the McLaren people have already had. He's gone 31 laps, and of course he's got a much lighter fuel load now, and his car will be less hard on tyres in this second part of the race.
Yes, and there is Patrese. He was in 6th place. He's in the pits, but he's overshot his pit, but I don't think that's just a routine tyre change. It seems to be something a bit more dramatic. Oh, he stalled the engine. That is the airline for the starter. A bit of a mess going on as Prost continues serenely on his way. Rosberg's pit stop was well timed. Although it's not quite half distance in the race, it would be half distance from a tyre wear point of view because of the lighter fuel load.
So 39 laps, half distance. The leader is on his 33rd lap now. Prost started on a rather more conservative tyre choice than his teammate Keke Rosberg, in that, as I said, he's fitted a harder left rear tyre. But even so, Prost was forecast as being likely to come in for tyres round about lap 35, which is in 2 or 3 laps' time.
Yes, tricky decision for Prost, though, because it's a decision that they decided to leave until during the race. And, of course, he will know that Senna is on harder tyres and is trying to go the distance. So does he dare forsake a 15-odd second lead to risk going into the pits, because he will come out behind Senna, but he will be with better pressure rubber and able to lap quicker, but he'll still have to pass Senna.
Prost goes through to complete his 33rd lap. Second is Ayrton Senna, some 13 seconds behind. Up to 3rd now has gone Michele Alboreto temporarily, but Rosberg is in that 3rd position as I talk to you, with Alboreto in 4th place. Nigel Mansell is 5th. René Arnoux is up into 6th place. These changes, of course, because of the tyre stop. Martin Brundle is in 8th place. Jonathan Palmer, who has been lapped twice, is 16th. And we have just been told, because we're right by the McLaren pit, that Alain Prost is going to be coming in 2 laps to change cars.
And there we see the battle for third place. Alboreto got ahead of Rosberg when he went into the pits, but Rosberg's on fresh rubber and should find it easier to get round Alboreto this time than he did in the early part of the race. He now has a definite tyre advantage, and he'll be anxious to get that overtaking manoeuvre over and done with as soon as possible. It's important that he gets past him quickly.
Yes, Alboreto is on 4C tyres, and they must be getting very tired, literally now, forgive the pun. But Rosberg, of course, on those fresh tyres, which will have been preheated to get them up to racing temperature before he even left the pits, will be charging past Alboreto very soon, I think. Meantime, Prost's tyres will be in their electrically heated jackets, which will be taken off at the last possible moment before the Frenchman comes into the pits. He's leading now by some 16 seconds from Ayrton Senna. Still third is Alboreto, still fourth is Rosberg, and there they are.
Looks to me as if Kecky's lining up to do what he did to Alboreto before, and now is the time. Going out round the Rascasse, first up into second gear, and out onto the pit straight. Now, yes, and Rosberg is doing a carbon copy of what he did before. With the advantage of fresh rubber, it's all over for Alboreto for the moment.
Back to third position goes Kecky Rosberg. McLaren then leads with Prost. Lotus second with Senna. McLaren third with Rosberg. Ferrari fourth with Alboreto. Replay as you see them approach Saint-Devant. Rosberg goes through beautifully as Alboreto did several times last year. In sixth position now, it's Arnoux. Still seventh is Gerhard Berger. Still eighth is Martin Brundle. Very well up. Now, we are watching, and you'll soon be seeing, we think, Alain Prost come into the pits. Prost is into the pits. There he is. Now, he was leading by 16 seconds. I am watching for Ayrton Senna. That's a super stop. That's about 9 seconds. And as Prost exits, there is Senna. Senna is going past as Prost exits the pits. It's anybody's guess, and I wish they'd show us some pictures about who is going to be leading at the end of this lap. Well, there's De Angelis back in the running, being lapped again by Kecky Rosberg, with Alboreto in the background. Meantime, Senna and Prost are on their way, and there is Senna. There is Prost, so Senna leads. Now, on lap 36, Ayrton Senna, the Brazilian in the Lotus with the Renault engine, is in the lead, and there is Alain Prost. You can see the gap for yourselves, but don't forget that Prost is on new rubber, and Senna is...
Well, that was a marvellous pit stop by the McLaren team. They turned Prost round really fast, and to have got out that close to Senna is really an achievement. He's only lost some 16 or 17 seconds on the road, which is really an outstanding stop. And of course, although he's still got to climb round Senna, he's got the advantage of fresh rubber, and he's still warming these tyres up. Remember this, he's on his first lap since his pit stop, but by the time he comes to complete that lap, he'll be ready to go and starting to attack.
Of course, Ayrton Senna will have... I don't know that Ayrton Senna will have to come in. He started this race with 2 Bs at the back. I'm sorry to be so technical about the tyres, but it really is crucial to what's happening in this race. Ayrton Senna started with C compound tyres on the front and B compound, which are harder, on the rear. So it is by no means inconceivable that Ayrton Senna could go through the whole race without changing tyres. Well, there he goes. Now, where is Prost? There he is. Prost in second place now. So the McLarens of Prost and Rosberg are second and third. Ayrton Senna, a brilliant tactician. Now, if they stay with this, we'll be able to see what the gap is between Senna, and there is Prost, and the answer is 5.7 seconds. That's Patrick Tambay in the red car, and Tambay is in 12th position, and he has been lapped. Race order on this, the 37th lap, as the leader goes through the chicane, is Senna, Prost, Alboreto 4th, Mansell 5th, Arnoux 6th, Berger 7th, Brundle 8th. In 9th position, it's Piquet. 10th is Lafitte. And Johansson, who is 11th, has been lapped. Jonathan Palmer is 15th and, of course, has also been lapped.
And Alain Prost confronted with a bit of traffic. Cars he would like not to be there. He's got to find his lap 3 people before he can get a clear run at Ayrton Senna, but he's pulling out to have a go at the first one, which is Stefan Johansson's Ferrari. He's safely by that. Johansson made space. Good, intelligent, sensible driver. He saw him coming. So Prost, the battle doesn't really start till he's disposed of these two.
It's Philippe Strath in front of Prost now. Philippe Strath in the Renault-powered Tyrrell. Prost comes out from behind him as they go down to the Mirabeau, goes through on the inside and has lapped Strath again. And it's Jonathan Palmer now in the in the Zaxpeed car. 15th, has already been lapped twice into the tunnel. Now, is he going to let... yes, he has done. Prost is through. And we'll soon be able to see, when they come through at the end of this lap, whether Prost is catching Ayrton Senna. 5.5 seconds was the gap at the end of the previous lap. Now, Senna has just gone past me as he approaches the Rascasse. And as he exits it, Prost goes through. 7.2 seconds is the gap. So Prost is not gaining on Ayrton Senna. He is dropping back a little, or he did on that lap. But of course, he was faced with a traffic problem. It's not until they have both got a clear or comparatively clear circuit that we can make a valid comparison. But anyway, now on the half-distance lap, lap 39, Ayrton Senna leads the man you're looking at, world champion Alain Prost, by some 7 seconds. Keke Rosberg is about 12 seconds behind Alain Prost. Alboreto is in 4th position. Nigel Mansell is in 5th place. In 6th position, it's Arnoux still.
And Prost now has got a clear track. He's got his fresh tyres reasonably warmed up, and if he's going to make a charge, now is the moment that it's going to start. He's got a clear run towards Senna, who's coming to picture now. There's Prost going round the first gear, new chicane, coming down the straight towards the back, round the left-handed to back. And he's got sight of Senna on the longer straight, and it does help to be able to see the car in front. It's an extra little mental stimulus.
And he's catching number 1, the world champion Alain Prost, who won last year and the year before, took 2 seconds out of Ayrton Senna's lead on that lap. He's now some 5 seconds behind the race leader, and Ayrton Senna is closing up on Martin Brundle, who is 10th. Senna is closing up to lap the 10th position man, Martin Brundle. Prost is catching him, and Alboreto in the Ferrari there is coming very, very slowly indeed out of the swimming pool area. He's in 4th position. Just looking at his tyres as he goes past me, for sure he's going to come into the pit, and for sure Nigel Mansell will go up a place as Alboreto in the Ferrari tours into the pits for his tyre change. Now, Mansell is about to take Alboreto's 4th position, because Mansell is just completing the lap as you look at Senna and Prost, with the gap coming down all the time.
Yes, and Prost has really destroyed that gap. It's taken him 2 laps to get that close from something like 7 seconds behind. So Prost, as we expected on the new tyres, is absolutely flying. I'm sure Senna is struggling in a bit, and I think that, if anything, that should firm up any doubt Senna has got that he should change tyres. He would definitely be better off. Let's see if he's worked that out for himself.
Well, if He's worked it out. He hasn't acted on it on this lap.
Yes, that's right. And once he can see what's happening, the sooner he goes in, the better, because he's just hurting his overall race time now if he stays out on tyres that are already knackered.
And it's interesting that Martin Brundle in 10th position, who has not yet been lapped, is keeping ahead of Senna, who's now, of course, as you can well see for yourselves, got Prost right behind him. First and second, Martin Brundle exiting the picture. Now Prost could attack as they approach and then exit the tunnel as they come down to the chicane. Prost on the new heated, now thoroughly heated rubber. Looks as though he's going to try and go through on braking for the chicane. It is possible to get through there. Very difficult, but possible. But Senna staved him off.
I think he's going to have to do a Rosberg and attack him out past the pits and into Saint-Devant.
This is coming up to complete lap 41 in this 78-lap race. Leading in the yellow helmet, Senna. Right behind him, second, world champion Prost. Third is Rosberg. Down to the Rascasse, down to first gear, 30 miles an hour. Up to the old gasworks corner. Now accelerate away, and this is Prost's chance. He can, if he gets close enough, take Senna on the approach to Saint-Devant. He's going to try and go around on the outside. But Senna moves across, takes his racing line and keeps ahead.
Yes, Prost being very careful and very sensibly careful, because he's well in charge of the situation. He knows that Senna can't hold him off forever, but he's not going to take any risks. Senna's a hard man. We've seen him make life very difficult for overtaking drivers. There he is, taking the inside line, fending Prost off, giving him no chance of attacking him on the winning line into the corner. So Senna stated his intentions. He's going to play a blocking game, but he can't block him forever.
And hats off to Martin Brundle in the Tyrrell Renault, because he is keeping ahead of both of them. As I've said many times before, these two will actually be slowing each other up compared with how fast they could go were they by themselves. Because Senna is having to watch Prost and see that he doesn't get past. Prost is trying to find a way through. He's darting about the tarmac. And you can see that Senna is visibly having a bit of tyre trouble as his car moves about on the course. And Prost is harrying him all the time.
Yes, Prost should be able to get more traction out of the Rascasse as they go onto the pit straight. Senna's coming in. So Senna has blocked it. He realises that he can't maintain the situation forever. And this puts Prost really in command of the race. Prost is now in what will be a very comfortable lead.
Now, what about Keke Rosberg? Good stop. Excellent stop by Bob Dance and his team. Bob Dance, the chief Lotus mechanic, who had his birthday yesterday. So, now, Prost has got the cushion that he needs. He is on his 43rd lap out of 78. He could be on his way to a hat-trick, 3 in succession wins at Monaco. Alain Prost back in the lead then. Ayrton Senna into the pit. We wait now to see with Keke Rosberg in the position. So anyway, there is the race leader, Alain Prost. Down to the Rascasse again. Alboreto, by the way, went out with engine trouble. Keke Rosberg now in second position. And third will be Nigel Mansell. It's Mansell and Senna absolutely together. Senna third, Mansell fourth. So with the two McLarens in the lead, Prost and Rosberg, here is the battle for third position with Senna and Mansell. And Senna pulling away there. Mansell seeming to go slower as he went up to Saint Devant because he was much closer to the Lotus. And in 5th position behind Nigel Mansell is the Ligier of René Arnoux. 6th is Gerhard Berger. 7th now is Nelson Piquet coming up through the field with the tyre changes in front of him. Then Jacques Lafitte is in 8th position. Martin Brundle is 9th. And Stefan Johansson in the second Ferrari, who has been lapped, is in 10th place. Senna 3rd, Mansell 4th. The 2 McLarens ahead. We are well over half distance now. We're on lap 44, and Gerhard Berger, who was in 6th position, has come into the pit to change his Pirelli tyres. Senna out of the new chicane. Well, he's definitely easing away from Nigel Mansell, who of course changed his tyres some time ago. The car's getting lighter by the lap. 43 tours then. First number 1, Prost. Second number 2, Rosberg. Third number 12, Senna, that you're looking at. Fourth number 5, Mansell. In 5th position, number 25, René Arnoux. In 6th position is Nelson Piquet, number 6. And over the line to complete another lap goes the Lotus of Ayrton Senna. And I am beginning to wonder what has happened to Nigel Mansell. He is definitely dropping back in 4th position. René Arnoux was 12 seconds behind him in 5th place, and he's catching Mansell.
Yes, Mansell, I think, must have some mechanical trouble with his car, or maybe because he pitted rather early, and that may have been to look at some mechanical trouble. He got a new set of tyres, but he's never really gone very well on them. So I suspect that Mansell's got some sort of minor problem with the car, because it does seem to be slowing him down compared with his form at the beginning of the race.
Well, as we look at the McLaren, you'll probably see Arnoux charging. There's Arnoux behind. And there is Keke Rosberg, who is in 2nd place. So actually, Rosberg is much closer to Alain Prost than he was. There's no team orders between Alain Prost and Keke Rosberg. Rosberg there won in 1983. Prost, his teammate, won in 84 and 85. So the winners of the last 3 Monaco Grand Prix are starting to fight for the lead. 11 seconds was the gap between the leader, Alain Prost, and Keke Rosberg in the 2nd McLaren. And you can see for yourselves how Rosberg is going as he comes down past the tip top, round the Mirabeau corner, up to Lowe's. I'll give you the gap when they come through at the end of this lap. Prost leads, Rosberg 2nd, Senna 3rd, Mansell 4th and dropping back. Arnoux 5th, Piquet 6th, Lafitte 7th. So both the Ligiers are going well. Martin Brundle has now been lapped and is in 8th position. 11 seconds was the gap between the 2 McLarens. Here's Prost exiting the swimming pool area. Prost is through to complete another lap very shortly. You saw the difference there, just under 11 seconds, and it's still 11.1 seconds. So Prost is maintaining his lead over number 2 there, the 1983 winner and ex-world champion Keke Rosberg. And once again, we have the prospect of another McLaren first and second to add to the many that they've achieved in the recent past. The most successful racing team over 1984, 1985, won the Constructors' Championship in both years. You're looking now as through on the inside of Sura goes Keke Rosberg. Mark Sura in the arrows in 12th position, who has been lapped twice, lets Keke Rosberg through, and the race order of this lap 47 is still Prost leading, Rosberg 2nd, Senna 3rd, Mansell 6 seconds behind Senna in 4th position, fifth is Arnoux. As you can see, Prost is not only leading, but the fastest man on the circuit. So he's got things very much under control. Nelson Piquet is in the points now in 6th position. 7th is Lafitte. 8th is Brundle, who has been lapped. Jonathan Palmer is in 13th place. And the gap between Prost and Rosberg is just increasing slightly. Gerhard Berger has had a problem with a wheel nut in the pits here, but Rosberg is now 11.6 seconds behind Alain Prost on lap 48 out of 78. And Alain Prost speeding up now. I suspect that with a lap just 0.2 of a second faster than the previous fastest, Alain Prost is in a beautifully comfortable rhythm, getting his pit signals. He's driven his own race all the way, stopped at just the right time to put new tyres on, and is really on his way.
Yeah, he's steadied that gap with Rosberg now. In fact, if anything, is increasing it slightly, and he will have been quite cautious because he doesn't want to overdo it in order not to cook his rear tyres, overheat them too much. But now that he's seen that he can contain Rosberg from the lead and even pull away a little bit, he must be feeling very happy with the situation.
We've said many times in the past that a team member wants most of all to beat the other man in his team to underline his superiority, and Alain Prost is certainly doing that at the moment. 11.5 seconds, so the gap is very, very consistent. And just over 11 seconds between first and second as Keke Rosberg comes up now to catch and lap Martin Brundle in the Tyrrell Renault, who is in 8th position. Martin, who had misfortune in Spain and at Imola, is in the race in the new 015 Tyrrell. There's the difference, 11.4 seconds between Prost the leader and Rosberg second, and Martin Brundle underlining his excellent form. 10th equal in the World Championship with 2 points which he got for that 5th place in Brazil, and pedaling Maurice Philippe's Renault-powered Tyrrell extremely well. Maurice Philippe being the designer. So the tyre changes of the leaders completed. It is unlikely that anybody's going to come in now because the McLaren team will have studied the tyre situation of their two runners and fitted the appropriate ones. They came in at about the right point in the race to do so. And now Keke Rosberg has still not got past Martin Brundle and has got one of the Brabhams in front of him. There he is, as a result of which the gap is increasing. It's over 12 seconds now between Alain Prost and Keke Rosberg. Now here is Brundle, up to Saint-Devant. Rosberg goes through. Brundle just edged over, lets the fin through Keke Rosberg, who streaks away from the Tyrrell. And Keke Rosberg out for victory, of course, on lap 50, has got 28 laps to try and do something about his teammate Alain Prost, who is now over 12 seconds ahead of him, with Senna in 3rd position. Senna now well behind, some 19 seconds behind Keke Rosberg, who is 2nd, and 7 seconds ahead of Nigel Mansell, who is in 4th position. René Arnoux in the Ligier is in 5th place. Nelson Piquet is still in the World Championship points in 6th position, so both the McLarens and both the Williams are in the World Championship points. Jacques Lafitte is in 7th place, so the two Ligiers are doing well. Arnoux 5th and Lafitte is 7th. Martin Brundle lapped in 8th place. Jonathan Palmer, 13th, has been lapped twice but is still going. Well, that was Keke Rosberg into La Rascasse and out of it.
although we haven't had a look at him for a while. Nelson Piquet has now finally got clear of the bunch that he was in for the first third of the race. He's running in 6th place and is catching René Arnoux in 5th.
As Rosberg goes up the hill towards the Bastogne, and Prost keeping up the pressure. Faster and faster he is going. 1:26.9, just 0.3 of a second faster than his previous fastest lap, but he's quicker. As if to say to Keke Rosberg, if you've got any ideas of catching me, let alone passing me, think again, because I'm going to pull away. That's Piquet. With right behind Piquet, Jacques Lafitte. This is the battle for 6th position. Ahead of them is Streff, who is he's 3 laps behind, although he's ahead on the course just now. And Jacques Lafitte, the oldest man in the race, in the blue Ligier. He's 42 years old, and he's going, finally he's passed Nelson Piquet. So now, both the Ligiers are in the World Championship points, with René Arnoux 5th, his teammate Jacques Lafitte behind him in 6th position. Tremendously encouraging for Guy Larousse, the team manager, for Michel Tétu, the designer, and for Bernard Dudot, the man who designed the Renault engines which are powering the Ligiers, and the Tyrrells, of course, and the Lotus. And Piquet has obviously got a problem. I don't know what it is. It might be anything. It might be gearbox, it might be clutch, it might be tyres. But for whatever reason, Piquet is slowing and having to let people through. He's lost the possibility of a World Championship point. And of course, Piquet, at the beginning of this race, and for that matter still, is leading the World Championship, tying with Ayrton Senna. So that's bad news for Brazilian Piquet and good news for Brazilian Ayrton Senna. Number 4 is Philippe Streff, who's about to be lapped again by the doughty warrior Jacques Lafitte, who likes nothing more than to get away from racing cars and have a game of golf, which is exactly what he did after practice yesterday. And Piquet dropping back all the time. So it is now lap 52. Alain Prost leads by 13.5 seconds, increasing his lead over his teammate Keke Rosberg, both in McLaren. Third is Ayrton Senna in the Lotus. 7 seconds ahead of Nigel Mansell in the Williams. 5th is René Arnoux. You're looking at Keke Rosberg. 6th is Jacques Lafitte. 7th now is Nelson Piquet, who has been lapped, as has Martin Brundle 8th. Patrick Tambay, who is 9th. Johansson is 10th and has been lapped twice. Boutsen is 11th. Sura is 12th. Jonathan Palmer is 13th, and Philippe Streff is 14th.
But it must be a little disheartening for Keke Rosberg. He's giving it everything he's got, and Prost is still pulling away. Prost lapping quicker and quicker now, and really, as I say, it must be worrisome, to say the least, for Rosberg, because he's certainly giving it everything he's got, and there seems to be nothing he can do about Prost.
And there's one of the Brabhams touring in. Well, stopping. And although we haven't seen much of, it's Riccardo Patrese, I think. Yes, it's Patrese who's stopped. Had come back into the race, but is now obviously completely out of it. We haven't seen much of the new Haas Lola with its Ford V6 engine. There is Prost completing another lap, coming through to complete his 53rd lap, and it is Riccardo Patrese out with probably a burning turbo from the way the fire extinguisher was being played on it. But that Haas Lola of Patrick Tambay with its Ford engine is going like clockwork. Most encouraging for the Cosworth people who designed the engine, and for Ford, of course, who contributed all the electronics, not to mention the money and everything else. And Alain Prost, this quite incredible 31-year-old Frenchman with 22 Grand Prix wins behind him already, including the last one at San Marino. is surely on his way to his 23rd win, his third Monte Carlo win in 3 years, and in the process to strengthen his position in the World Championship. Out of the chicane. Now the yellow flag's waving. Why is that? Oh, it's Patrese, of course. Patrese's car with the fire extinguisher powder on the road in front of it. And we are now seeing a motor racing demonstration of the highest order from Alain Prost, who has got this race in his pocket, provided he just keeps going the way he is. He's now on his 55th lap. You can see that with a gap of some 19 seconds there, that Keke Rosberg, as he comes through, is making no impression. Indeed, he's making a negative impression.
Yes, indeed, and I think that the gap actually has opened quite sharply in the last couple of laps, and I think that Rosberg may have settled down to defend his second place, protect his car, and I get the feeling he's given up chasing Prost, and that may be a very wise decision, because he's shown, it's already been proved to himself that he's not going to catch Prost unless something goes wrong, and so chasing won't make any difference to that, and therefore I think you'll find that Rosberg is now protecting his very comfortable lead over Ayrton Senna. He's some 15 seconds ahead of Senna in third place, but he won't want to do more wear than necessary on those rear tyres, and by taking it easy, he looks after them better.
Nevertheless, Ayrton Senna still in third position, demonstrating the Lotus reliability this year. He's had one retirement, admittedly, at San Marino, but he won in Brazil, and he won in Spain and was second in Brazil. And it looks as though he's going to be well and truly in the points for the third position in this race. But now on the 55th lap, as you watch René Arnoux in the Ligier, the little Frenchman who drove for Ferrari in 1984 and won race in 1985 before he was fired. Arnoux is now in 5th position, so it's Prost leading by an ever-increasing amount from Keke Rosberg, with Senna some 15 seconds behind Rosberg in third position, with Nigel Mansell 10 seconds behind Senna in fourth place. Arnoux is 15 seconds behind Mansell in fifth position. Jacques Lafitte is in sixth place, and that is René Arnoux in the very distinctive blue and white Ligier. Seventh is Martin Brundle, not so far off the points. Eighth is Nelson Piquet. Ninth is Patrick Tambay. They've each been lapped once. Thierry Boots is 10th and has been lapped twice. Johansson, maintaining his rather poor, unfortunately for him, Ferrari form this year, is in 11th position. And incidentally, Johansson had the misfortune to knock over in the vastly overcrowded pit lane at Monaco here yesterday Jean Sarge, the tremendously popular Frenchman, ex-manager of the Renault team, who's looking after their engine supply for the Lotus, Ligier and Tyrrell teams this year. Jean Sarge was lying in the pit lane with blood pouring out of his head, but I'm glad to say that he hasn't been seriously injured. He's knocked his shoulder about a bit, but hopefully we're going to be seeing him back in the racing scene at the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa in a couple of weeks' time. René Arnoux, round Lowe's hairpin. Onto the Portier, then second gear. 16 seconds between Mansell, who is in fourth place, and Arnoux, so the gap is being maintained. There's Senna. Senna, now we are going to see the Haas Lola, well, in a moment you will, with Patrick Tambay with the blue helmet in 9th position. So the Ford engine and the new car are getting some racing mileage on them, and that's very important for development purposes. And the Ford is running with a very conservative turbo boost to get that racing mileage, to get the experience, and then you can make it go quicker. It needs a bit more power, they say, and I have no doubt that that will be provided. So Ayrton Senna in third position, closing on Patrick Tambay, who is 9th, to lap him. As you look at the McLaren, coming up to catch Jacques Lafitte. So Alain Prost, the race leader, is about to lap Jacques Lafitte, who is 6th. That's yet another indication of the stunning class of Alain Prost, who I spoke to yesterday. He goes through, takes Jacques Lafitte. So now Prost has lapped everybody up to the 5th place. Great friends, by the way, Alain Prost and Jacques Lafitte, great golfing buddies. I said that Jacques Lafitte liked nothing more than to play a game of golf. Well, for that matter, nor does Alain Prost. Prost not only superb at the wheel, but an incredible businessman who runs his own promotions company. Heaven knows how he finds the time to do it. But amongst other things, he's promoting the Formula 3000 race at Pau next week. Prost into the tunnel. Well, nothing can stop Prost now except reliability or being balked. And we know how reliable the McLaren is. A superb team of mechanics, race engineers, designers, everybody. And of course there is no petrol problem at Monaco because this race is a very short one, 161 miles.
And things have gone pretty static amongst the leaders. Prost seems to have steadied down. He's no longer rushing. He's just holding his gap to teammate Keke Rosberg. And Rosberg is in fact extending his lead over Ayrton Senna, who's in 3rd place. So the 3 leaders look pretty stable at the moment.
There goes Senna through the chicane. Rosberg has taken La Race Casse. The gap was some 21 seconds between Rosberg's 2nd and Senna in 3rd place. And here comes Senna. And the gap is actually increasing. 23 seconds now. So as the McLaren disappears round the right-hander, goes through the portiere into the tunnel again with Lowe's Hotel overhead. That was where the kitchen flooded a few years ago and the course beneath it, as a result of which the start had to be delayed. And Alain Prost serenely motoring on. He's already got by far the highest ratio of wins to starts of current drivers. It's something like 24%. He's going to make it even better at the end of this race if he stays where he is. He completes another lap. That'll be the end of his 59th lap, 78-lap race. The 2 McLarens lead, the Lotus of Senna 3rd, the Williams of Mansell 4th, the Ligier of Arnoux 5th, the Ligier of Jacques Lafitte in 6th position. Tremendously encouraging for the French team. Both of them have scored World Championship points already, of course, this season. And there's the casino in the background as the leader once again plunges down towards the Mirabeau. And we look again at Patrick Tambay, another tremendously popular Frenchman. That's Martin Brundle, who is in 7th position. And there is Senna. Now, this is going to be interesting because Senna is, what, some 9 seconds ahead of Mansell, 8 seconds ahead of Mansell, and he's got a big traffic problem now as they come up the hill towards us. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars ahead of Senna and Mansell behind him.
Yes, and I think Senna has, I think his tyres are proving a bit of a struggle for him now. He doesn't seem to be getting the grip, so he may find it difficult to do anything about this group. He's been stuck behind them for quite 3 or 4 laps already.
Senna is now behind Nelson Piquet, who is in 8th position. Piquet has got ahead of him. Patrick Tambay. So Tambay has in fact moved up a place. Now is Senna's trying to go through on the inside of the chicane, or was, and Piquet will have none of that. Piquet dodges. This is a great scrap between Nelson Piquet and Patrick Tambay for 8th position, which Tambay has at the moment. And both of them holding up, of course. Ayrton Senna, who is 3rd, and is being caught by Nigel Mansell, who is 4th. I'll give you the gap between Senna and Mansell, and the gap between Senna and Mansell is now down to 6 seconds. So sure enough, Nigel Mansell is making the most of the opportunity. He doesn't actually know he's ahead of him because he can't see that Senna is being held up. But nevertheless, the Englishman in 4th place in the Williams is catching Senna.
Yeah, and I think Senna's rear tyres are getting a bit tired. He seems to be a little bit short on traction out of the slower corners, and that, of course, makes his overtaking situation even more difficult. So now Senna having a look down the inside of Piquet. He's got 2 of them at once. So that will cheer Ayrton Senna up a bit to put 2 cars between himself and Nigel Mansell, who you see now approaching the station hairpin. So Mansell has got Senna just about in sight.
Lap 2, race order. Prost leads, Rosberg 2nd, Senna 3rd, Mansell 4th, Arnoux 5th, Lafitte 6th, Brundle 7th, Tambay 8th, Piquet 9th, Boutsen 10th, Sura 11th, Johansson is 12th, Streff is 13th, and Palmer is 14th, as you look at a replay of Ayrton Senna going through to pass Nelson Piquet and Thierry Boutsen in the arrows. And he's now up with Patrick Tambay. Patrick Tambay, I remind you, is 8th, and has already been lapped once. And what about Nigel Mansell? He's catching them. Now, of course, Mansell's got the problem very shortly that Senna has now disposed of, because the Brazilian passes Patrick Tambay's past Lola Ford, laps the Frenchman again, pulls away, and Mansell has got 3 cars to pass before he can try again to get to grips with Ayrton Senna, and he's going to find it no easier to get past them than the Brazilian did. Senna, 3rd position. Now look back a bit, there's Mansell.
And Senna is definitely short of grip. He stood a bit wide then at the station hairpin, so Senna's going to be really hanging on to try and make those tyres last. And that was the gap, of course, between the 2 McLarens, who are 1st and 2nd, with Alain Prost established firmly in control.
Johansson's Ferrari in the pits. The gap between Senna and Mansell was 6 seconds. Here is Senna. There is Mansell in the background. And as Tambay, Piquet, then Palmer and Boutsen go through, all of whom have got to be passed by Mansell. The gap is still 6 seconds between Senna, who is 3rd, and Mansell, who is 4th, with Prost and Rosberg in front of them, Arnoux and Lafitte behind them, 5th and 6th. So there's the Williams past Jonathan Palmer's Zaxby. There's the Zaxby. All German car, chassis, engine, gearbox, everything. Boutsen goes through with the Williams right on his tail. Down to the station hairpin. Senna. And the gap is coming down. It's about 5 seconds now, notwithstanding the fact that Nigel Mansell has had to pass people. Prost, Rosberg, Senna, Mansell, Arnoux, Lafitte.
Yes, Mansell has definitely got more grip than Senna. He's still got Tambay to get rid of, but I think once he's passed, he'll very quickly be on Senna's tail, and Ayrton Senna definitely struggling for grip. Tyres are very much past their best, and it looks like Nigel Mansell's looked after his a bit better.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing because the 2 Williams cars are very close to each other. Piquet is the leader of the 2 cars. It's 6.6 seconds, actually. There is Mansell. He's still got to get past his teammate, Piquet, who is now 9th. The leader, meantime, while we've been looking at this battle, is on his 64th lap, out of 78. Of course, it is still Prost, who is leading his teammate Keke Rosberg by 20 seconds. Rosberg is 26 seconds ahead of Senna, who is about 6 seconds ahead of Mansell, who is 4th, who is about 25 seconds ahead of Arnoux, who is 5th, and Jacques Lafitte is 6th. There's the Williams. 6-cylinder Honda engine. They broke 4 of them in practice. Nigel Mansell into the tunnel. They found out what the problem was. It was something to do with fuel injection, as a result of which I suspect the mixture was much too lean, and they were breaking engines because of that, but they fixed it for yesterday's practice, and Nigel Mansell went from not qualifying on Thursday to a sensational second on the grid, notwithstanding the fact that he was having to deal with dropped oil from De Cesaris's car. And my goodness, he's smoking now. I mean, smoking to catch Ayrton Senna. He's not in car trouble. He's catching his teammate Piquet fast. It's 5.9 seconds. And I suspect Piquet, when he sees Mansell coming up, knowing that the Englishman is well ahead of him, will move over and let him through. That was Piquet. This is Mansell. Mansell is 4th. Mansell is catching Senna. Senna is not doing anything, of course, about Rosberg and Prost. But Senna will desperately want to keep Mansell behind him, because the World Championship position between Prost and Senna is very close. If they stay where they are now, Prost will take the World Championship lead. That is the McLaren of Keke Rosberg. Second place. Now watch as you go round with Rosberg. Let's hope that we're going to look at this developing battle between Senna and Mansell for 3rd and 4th positions. I'm looking across the course as you look at Rosberg going through round Saint-Devote, having completed another lap, indeed having completed his 65th lap. Senna goes past me as round the Hotel de Paris, and Mansell is starting to lose grip from his front tyres. He's getting a bit of tyre trouble as well, but he's now, there he is, right up with Nelson Piquet, and the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th have completed their 65th lap. They being Prost, Rosberg, Senna and Mansell, with Arnoux in 5th position. Jacques Lafitte has been lapped in 6th place. 7th is Martin Brundle, just 1 place off a World Championship point. Patrick Tambay is in 8th position, and there is Senna. Now you can see how they go. There's Senna. And there are the 2 Williams. Into the tunnel. On lap 66. Prost has completed his 66th lap. Senna comes down to the chicane behind the Ferrari of Stefan Johansson. Pulls out and takes him as they go into the Tabac past Patrese' stationary Brabham. Senna's dealing with the traffic well. Well, Mansell has still got Tambay, there he is, and Piquet ahead of him, but nevertheless, the gap between Ayrton Senna and Nigel Mansell, 3rd and 4th, is down to 4.8 seconds. If Mansell could get past Tambay in front of him now, and then Piquet, I think he's going to fairly rapidly close the gap to Senna, and then we really are going to see a battle royal between Piquet and Mansell, between whom there's been a bit of trouble in the past, of course, in Australia, where Senna, according to Mansell, put him off, and Brazil, where the same thing happened. There's Piquet, there's Tambay, there's Mansell.
Yes, and with the grip from their tyres ever declining, Mansell's got quite a stiff task just to get through this gaggle and get a clear run to attack Senna, because he's definitely getting short on grip. And as soon as he gets close to another car, the wings don't work so well, and unless he's helped, he's going to have a real struggle getting clear.
Now, there is Nigel Mansell closing up on Patrick Tambay. That's Brundle, there's Piquet, there's Tambay, there's Mansell, and still in the superb McLarens. Prost and Rosberg out on their own in front. Prost really on his own. 22 seconds now ahead of his teammate. And Rosberg is some 27 seconds ahead of Senna, who is some 4.5 seconds ahead of Mansell, and there is the Englishman. Now, look back. There's Tambay, and Tambay is 9th. That's Senna, up the hill. Now, Piquet goes through, and Brundle. There's Mansell. Nigel Mansell really has got a monumental task on his hands. He's on lap 68 now in this 78-lap race, but he could still finish in 3rd position. 8.3 seconds between Senna and Mansell, so the gap is extending, and the gap is extending for the reason that you can see now that Nigel Mansell's got the Ferrari and the Lola Ford in front of him. Prost, Rosberg, Senna, Mansell, Arnoux, Lafitte, the first 6. Brundle is 7th, has been lapped. Piquet is 8th, has been lapped. Tambay is 9th and has been lapped. And Piquet has got his Tambay there, and Mansell has got ahead of the Ferrari. So that's 1 less. Now there is Senna. You watch Senna go into La Rascasse as you watch Nigel Mansell still not able to do anything about Patrick Tambay, and the gap is increasing. Senna has got some real racing luck on his side. Nigel Mansell is now 11 seconds behind Ayrton Senna, who is in 3rd position, and Mansell has still got this traffic problem with, I believe, tyres that are going off. Now Mansell's right up with Patrick Tambay. Tambay going off and hitting Brundle. That's Tambay's car over the top of Martin Brundle's Tyrrell, rolling over the Lola Ford, and he did that at the right-hander at Mirabeau, and thank heavens, what an incredible recovery. Patrick Tambay is perfectly okay after a tremendously spectacular crash. Martin Brundle on his way, seemingly and hopefully perfectly okay, and there is the Frenchman Patrick Tambay involved in that coming together with Martin Brundle at the right-hander at the Mirabeau on their lap 68. And praise be Patrick Tambay. Now look at this.
Yes, and we see Tambay going down the inside. Brundle doesn't see him coming, moves over, and that flicks him up in the air, and he does a quick loop-the-loop over. There goes the car, but no damage to Tambay there. You see that his head was well away from the ground and was protected by the rollover bar, so really there shouldn't have been any damage to that.
There's Nigel Mansell going through the gap, and I'm just trying to spot whether Martin Brundle's okay. We'll keep a look at our lap chart to see if Martin Brundle goes through. But now, with Martin Brundle yet to go past us, and I'm pretty confident that Martin would have been okay from the way he eased into the wall. But you look at the race leader, Alain Prost, completing his 70th lap, with Pecci Rosberg in 2nd place still, with Ayrton Senna in 3rd position, and now I will be able to give you the gap again. There's Brundle, so Brundle is perfectly okay. He's driving back to the pits, thank heavens for that. Now, what about this battle as Brundle passes me, and you see him, I look down at his car, I tell you that he's perfectly okay. He's going to come into the pits, His race is not going to be completed in the new 0150, and now Nigel Mansell, of course, will have lost time through that accident, but should have a clearer circuit in front of him. He's going to come through and complete his 70th lap, and Martin Brundle stops in the pit lane.
No, he didn't quite make it. He's got a flat right rear tyre. That would be the result, obviously, of the accident. So he didn't quite make it back to the pits, and it looks like end of the day's work for Martin.
Yes, and I think that Nigel Mansell's going to have a very considerable job to catch Ayrton Senna. Indeed, I don't think he can do it, because he's now 22 seconds behind. Held up by the traffic, held up by the accident between Patrick Tambay and Martin Brundle, both of whom seem to be perfectly okay after that tremendously spectacular roll. There's Martin Brundle's car being eased back as Rosberg goes through to complete his 71st lap. Now only 6 laps, including the one he's on, away from his 3rd successive victory at the Monaco Grand Prix. A quite incredible performance. He dominated practice. Well, Martin Brundle's car is obviously seized up somehow, perhaps the brakes or gearbox. Brundle running across the road, so he's okay. Rosberg going through in 2nd place, and Nigel Mansell still has to get past Nelson Piquet, his teammates, who of course has been lapped. But it looks as though the first 4, anyway, first 6 for that matter, are set with the winner, potential winner. There he is, appropriately, number 1, world champion Alain Prost, with just a few laps between him and the checkered flag.
Yes, they've all spread right out now. None of the leading 6 are really anywhere near each other, and it's a matter of driving to finish for each and every one of them. Mansell's spirited chase of Ayrton Senna really ended with all that traffic in front of him, and then the shunt between Tambay and Brundle, which delayed him further, and he's now really out of range of any chance of catching Senna unless Senna has some trouble. So Alain Prost has driven another copybook race. It's been absolutely as he would have liked it. He eased away at the beginning of the race, didn't rush it too much, but just enough not to wear his tires out. He looked, when he got onto the new tires, he really flew for a little while, established himself very much at the top. Rosberg chased for all he was worth and could not find any answer towards getting closer to Prost. In fact, he was losing ground, and that really was it. So the little Frenchman, current world champion, doing what very often happens to people when they win that championship for the first time, that a new and greater confidence comes over their driving, and Prost is certainly at the top of his form at the moment.
Ayrton Senna going through. He's now on his 73rd lap, like Rosberg and Prost in front of him, and consolidating his 3rd position, because the gap between Senna and Mansell is actually increasing as the Brazilian rounds the Massenet into and out of Casino Square. 26 seconds is the gap now between Senna in 3rd place in the Lotus and Mansell in 4th position in the Williams. Followed in 5th place by René Arnoux, in 6th place by Jacques Lafitte, in 7th place by Nelson Piquet, 8th is Boots and 9th is Sura, 10th is Johansson, 11th is Streff, 12th is was Martin Brundle, of course, out of the race, and Alain Prost now is on his 74th lap. And actually, I forecast that this would be a race of attrition, as it always is at Monaco, but it looks as though we're going to have more finishers than usual, because Jonathan Palmer in 12th place is still running, albeit 4 laps behind the leader, and there is the leader. Alain Prost coming down behind one of the arrows at Lowe's hairpin, and he is now 24 seconds ahead of his teammates. McLaren driver Keke Rosberg, world champion of 1985, leads the world champion of 1982, Keke Rosberg. A potential world champion, of course, Ayrton Senna, and very much so in 3rd position. He's going to finish provided he stays where he is now in the points again. And Alain Prost very sensibly deciding to stay where he is and not try any heroics, and to pass the arrows of Thierry Boutsen as he approaches the swimming pool. He's got all the time in the world. They go down to La Rascasse together as Keke Rosberg exits the chicane, and that is about a quarter of a lap here at Monaco, the 2.07 mile lap between the first and second cars. Prost, Rosberg, Senna, Mansell fourth, Arnoux fifth, Lafitte sixth, and Arnoux is being caught by Keke Rosberg. You can see it happening now. There is the Ligier and there is the McLaren, and Arnoux is in fifth place and is about to be lapped again by the second place man, Keke Rosberg. There he is, rounding Saint-Devant, up the hill towards us, the Frenchman in the Ligier, the Finn in the McLaren, and of course René Arnoux, who is in fifth place in the Ligier, has already been lapped by the leader Alain Prost, who indeed has lapped everybody up to Nigel Mansell, who is fourth. Arnoux, and there is Prost. He's past Boutsen, you see, out of our sight. Prost coming through now to complete his 75th lap. 3 to go at the end of this between him and another famous victory. It would seem that nothing can stop this incredible Frenchman these days, the class of the field. And although the McLaren team had a comparatively shaky start by their standards, with neither Prost nor Rosberg finishing in Brazil, they made amends for that with third and fourth places for Prost and Rosberg in Spain. And then they both finished in the points at San Marino, with Prost winning and Rosberg in fifth place. And now it looks as though at this, the fourth race of the 16-race World Championship Series of 1986, the McLarens are going to again stamp their dominance on the field, as they did in winning the Constructors' Championship in 1985 and 1984 by finishing first and second here at Monaco. Prost into the tunnel on his 76th lap, leading Keke Rosberg by 22 seconds. Rosberg 19 seconds ahead of Senna, third, who is 29 seconds now ahead of Mansell, fourth. So Senna really pulling away. Prost coming up to Streff, the Frenchman, having his first drive in the new 015 Renault-powered Tyrrell. Just round La Rascasse now goes Streff. The next one you'll see will be Prost, and that is the end of his 76th lap. Alain Prost, the world champion of 1985, is on his last lap but one. Just 4 miles to go now for the Frenchman. Winner here in 1985. Winner in those appalling weather conditions in 1984, when he just by about a car length beat Ayrton Senna, who was then in the Toleman, and in the process scored half World Championship points because the race was stopped short of the full distance. Prost goes through and takes Streff in the Tyrrell. He's got a clear circuit now. He really can, by his standards, coast home. He's got about 3 miles to go now as he goes into the tunnel, and that is at about 160 miles an hour, accelerating to 170 as he comes out of it. Down through the gears from sixth to first for the chicane, the new chicane, which I think everybody would say has been a great success. The drivers like it. Prost is coming out of La Rascasse to finish his 77th lap. to start his 78th lap. There is only 2 miles now between Prost and victory after a quite magnificent, absolutely typical drive.
Yes, Alain Prost has really made it all look ridiculously easy. He's in top form. His outstanding drive at Imola has gripped him with confidence, and he made it look a lot easier than it really is, in going steadily away from the field throughout the race, getting onto his new tires, looking after his first set properly, and then taking a spirited challenge from Keke Rosberg, which he dealt with the greatest of ease by still extending his gap, and that took the fight out of everybody, the last fighter being Rosberg. Rosberg's driven very well into second place, and that will help his confidence. And Ayrton Senna, of course, has driven another good race into third place, but was just really a little bit off the pace.
Out of the chicane for the 78th and last time, Alain Prost is going to make it 3 in a row. An amazing performance. Fastest in practice, pole position at the start, fastest this morning in the final half hour of practice on full tanks, winner in 85, winner in 84, rounds La Rascasse for the last time. Watch the McLaren mechanics as he rounds the last corner, and they go berserk with pleasure, and Alain Prost has won the 1986 Monaco Grand Prix in a canter. Rosberg will be second, Ayrton Senna third, Nigel Mansell in fourth position, René Arnoux in fifth place, and Jacques Lafitte sixth. And that means to say that Alain Prost, as you watch Rosberg finishing in second position, takes the lead in the World Championship from Ayrton Senna, who is now second. Nelson Piquet in third position. Keke Rosberg goes up to fourth place in the championship. Here is Senna finishing in third position. Fifth in the championship, Nigel Mansell, and sixth, Gerhard Berger. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren take the lead from Williams, with Lotus third, with Ligier fourth, with Benetton fifth, with Ferrari sixth, and as Senna finishes in third place, it is very clear that McLaren and Prost are once again the combination to beat.
James Hunt and Murray Walker, your commentators there in Monaco. A field day indeed for McLaren, and the next race is in Belgium in 2 weeks' time, and you'll see that on Sunday Grandstand.
Racing driver.